and welcome everybody back once again to World of Racing. And you guessed it once again, folks, it's MX-5 time. We are back for the MX-5 League. It's round 4, folks, and we get to head on over to Virginia International Raceway as well as Japan. A nice little short jaunt across the Pacific Ocean, well, and I guess the entire American countryside, to head on over to Tsukuba, the track down in, well, Japan. As we get into it, though, tonight, folks, we're going to start off at VIR, where they're going to be battling on the North Course, which is a little shorter version of the regular track, and my goodness, it has a hog pen in it, and it is going to be a rip-snorting of a time. The MX-5 League is getting close, folks, and it's getting down towards the wire. Of course, it's a 12-round championship. We are now 6 rounds into it, this, of course, being race 7 and 8. So we're going to see currently on the top of the point standings, it is going to be Daniel. 512 points leading over David at 506. Ahmad down at 483. So right now, David and Daniel being the top 2 heavy hitters, but that does not mean that Ahmad, Tim H, or Josh are out of this just yet. They are still within the money, and as well as Christian Lee and Tim G for that matter. He is still going to be a little bit further down, but Tim G, of course, the fan favorite out there, one of the fan favorites. We'll hopefully see him have a decent result out here tonight. Neither 1, 2, or both of the races. And of course, a good luck to everybody out there, whether you are watching at home on your couch or you are down at World of Racing yourself in either one of our 3 locations in Pasadena, as well as Kansas City, and of course, down in excuse me, but yes, we'll be getting into it here very, very shortly, folks. With the qualifying underway, be taking a look at the qualifying. We see Michael Chu in chat as well, cheering on Mr. Lee. Let's get on into it, folks. Let's head down to the qualifying and talk track. As we get down into the quali session, we can see in front of all of us all these lovely names on there. Daniel currently leading, Bradley alongside, and Josh down in 3rd position. Andreas currently rocking in 4th, and Andreas about 1, or look at that, 2/10 off of Josh as it stands. Behind that, Bradley just about a second off of Daniel. It's really been the Andrew show these past few races, and as we don't have Andrew out here in this qualifying session, it leads me to think either we're in a split quali here tonight, or this is just Andrew on a bit of a leave for the night. So giving some other drivers some potential opportunities, I would say, but that's not, of course, to count out the current competitors out there. Recently, we've been seeing a lot of success from Ali, so this could be a potential shot. I don't see Ali out there either, though, so hopefully we do have him out when the race session does, in fact, go live. It leads me to think we are, again, in that split quali session. Now, of course, here in the quali, this is going to be a very important one, due to the fact that this track is tight, twisty, and tough to overtake on. You can see over on the track map, it's a windy one with a lot of horseshoe corners. In fact, why don't we go fully on board with Daniel on his next lap, as he'll have a good run of it, and go on the front end here, or we can go down here in the cockpit cam, see what it's like behind the wheel. Daniel not on the greatest lap this occasion, but as he's coming down the start-finish straight through turn 14, which is hardly a turn 14, it is flat out easy in an MX-5, which is pretty much going to be any car easy flat. Looking at the braking zones now, trying to spot it late on the brakes, down towards that pretty much penultimate braking board. Chuck it in a little deep off the apex there. You could probably tighten that up, increase that minimum speed through the corner. Now into the sweeping NASCAR bend, down through turn 3. High speed, high commitment. Use all the curbs on the exit, but don't use any of the grass because you are going to have a bad time. In through turns 4A and 4B, because of course this is a track that does that. And then 5A, B, C. We're not going to be going through all of the letters as, well, either way. Down to turn 7. Looking for that braking spot, the heaviest braking spot on the track, and an uphill commitment. That's where normally you'd be committing down the regular road course, but now shortening it up and basically cutting it in half through turns 8, down through 9, and into 10. It's a bit of a roller coaster ride, and you guessed it, turn 10, in fact, is called the roller coaster. Where we're at right now, the top of the hill, where you all of a sudden feel your gut drop as you begin the descent. Around the left-hander, it's hardly that as you get up to the final corner of the track. Chuck it in just on the limit of grip. Get on the loud pedal and stay on it. Is this going to be an improvement here? 1:38.0 is the current time that we're looking at. Daniel across the line. Going to be a 1:38.004. So it is going to be an improvement, but only just splitting hairs, practically. They have to improve from behind currently. Bradley, let's see what he's got with him. He just finished his lap and got into the 1:38s. 1:39 from David right now. David improving in Sector 2, but his Sector 1 a little lackluster to say for now. Hopefully he can improve, though, in Sector 3. Does, up into third, gains a position over Josh. The times are coming down. We're firmly in the 39s now for the front pack. Ahmad just needs to find a couple more tenths. Lee as well. Donovan down in 7th. Those are all the 140 drivers. The 141 starting at Andreas, surprisingly. And Andreas in the pit lane. So Robert behind Vincent in 10th. And Christopher in 11th. And Chan Young down in 12th. We got the fan favorite Lee out on track for tonight. Let us know, chat, who you are supporting. Hope everyone's having a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. We appreciate you for joining us here. As, of course, the premier SoCal Sim Center, World of Racing. Folks, if you are down in the area of either Pasadena, Tustin, or in Kansas City, Kansas, please do check out the world's largest sim center, World of Racing. It's an absolute thrill of a time. We hear it all the time, people saying, oh, we just came down, had a great time with my buddies, they recommended me to go, and it's always worthwhile experience. Anywhere, even if you are just dipping your toe into the shark-infested water of sim racing, we guarantee you this is a friendly, minnow-friendly environment, I guess, for lack of a better term. Come on down. We have coaching. We have as well plenty of just hot lapping sessions, race sessions, MX-5 leagues, GT3 leagues, and so on and so forth. Plenty to do down here in a World of Racing. Back to the quali, though, and Josh just setting a 38.9. And David responding handedly, a 38.3. Daniel's down into the 37s now, and Josh looking to answer back. The track getting ever rubbered in. Of course, as the qualifying session continues on, the track will be getting more and more rubber laid down onto it, meaning the traction will go up, and the lap times, well, they're going to come down. The wind, you can see up in the top right at about 7 kilometers an hour. That isn't really going to do anything, to be completely honest. It should not play much of a role whatsoever. These cars, not necessarily the most reliant on downforce at the end of the day. They are just little punchy 2.0 liter 4-cylinder engines. They got a 6-speed manual transmission, and they have a whopping 160 brake horsepower. Yes, you heard that right, 160. The 0 to 60 in about 6 seconds or 3 to 5 business days if you are lucky. Heck, Fred Flintstone could give these cars a run for their money at the best of times, but that is why they are so fun. They're momentum-based. They do not get up to speed quickly, but when they do get up to speed, you gotta keep them there if you want to maximize your lap time. Bleeding any time through any corner is going to be devastating, and just having to take a sharp apex versus a long one could be the difference in a pole position lap and not. And right now, David, even on his lap, give or take, just behind Daniel, but Daniel a solid 4 tenths ahead. So through Sector 3, it's going to be pretty difficult to find that amount of time, and David doesn't quite. Still, though, 1:38.1, nothing to shake a stick at. Bradley, 1:38.4. Josh, David having a little pirouette round. That right there is one of the issues that we don't often talk about with the MX-5s and with more low-speed cars in general. These cars aren't going to be on the edge of grip at the best of times, especially when you're just driving casually. They're very well within their limits, but the problem is they don't have downforce, like I was just saying before, and that leads to these cars really understeering through the corners. They pretty much just want to go straight. No matter what you do to them when you're pushing them fast, you turn the wheel, things in motion tend to stay in motion unless otherwise affected. The problem isn't really a problem when you manage to keep it neat and tidy and you keep everything nice and clean like Bradley's doing here, but when you start to go too deep, you try to save it. You start overcorrecting the wheel, and that is what is going to cause you to snap. All of a sudden, your violent or crippling understeer turns into violent oversteer, where you're going to snap, pirouette round quicker than a quick thing in Quicksville, really. It happens fast, it happens violently, and it's always very frustrating when it does. And back to pit lane, we saw David go as the result. Bradley continuing his push on, Daniel as well, Josh in the 38s, nobody else though joining just yet. Is Lee going to be the one to break through? 9 minutes and 41 seconds left. Let's find out. Why don't we go on board here with Lee for the rest of the lap and get a nice little sound of these MX-5s here, the little buzzing bees that these cars are. A little snappy here and there from Lee. Nothing, though, to be too upset about. 139.6 still is the time to beat. Donovan has improved the 139.5. Not quite able to get into the 38s just yet. I am very curious when it comes to the lap times here, because I've commentated VIR plenty. I have never commentated this version of VIR. So this is, of course, the North course that we're using. You can see why it almost looks like a backwards version of Portimao mixed with the Hungaroring. Maybe. Or the Red Bull. No, the Red Bull Ring. That's what I meant to say. The Red Bull Ring. It's kind of got the middle sector vibe, but also sector. Yeah. I don't know, chat. Let me know. What do you think? Have you ever driven here outside of World of Racing? It's one of the beauties of just the race nights and league nights in general. League nights not so. League nights, everybody does know the racetracks ahead of time, but when it comes to the Wednesday race nights and the Thursdays and Mondays, it's a random car in a random track, so nobody knows what they're going to be getting their hands on until they get their hands on it, which means you're going to have an even playing field, or a relatively even playing field compared to if you were to have, for example, the Formula One cars at Spa, right? The bread and butter GT3s at Spa, whatever. Your tried, true, and classic, something that everybody knows on this planet that is a sim racer. But if you're maybe new to sim racing, you don't know it as well, and you're just going to be lacking on that. Here at World of Racing, they recognize that, and that, of course, the buffer they put in place is, well, if you're new, come on down to one of those events, because then you have a little bit better of a level playing field, I should say, where you're going to be able to just go out there, have a good time, and nobody knows what they're doing. So that's where, of course, you can go and find how to figure out what to do. Sim racing's fun, folks. It's a bug, it's a passion, and it's very, very challenging, and it's very, very frustrating. It's a very individualistic sport. Despite the fact that you are racing around on track with other people, you're the only one that can do it. And sometimes incidents happen and tempers flare. But here at World of Racing, we're all about fun, we're all about a good time, and we just want to see you make it to the checkered flag. And hopefully, at the end of it, there's a smile on your face. That's what we're all about. Right now, the man that's smiling like a Cheshire cat, Daniel, 3/10 improvement through Sector 1. He is flying like a rocket ship right now. Can he keep it on course, though, as he is on the limit through Sector 2 and down into the sweeping final corners here. Needs to keep it between the mayo and the mustard. Great improvement. Back markers playing a role here. Slower cars getting on by. But down through Sector 3 into the final corner and around onto the start finish. Not so straight. Daniel, 137.8. Are we going to be seeing that go into the fives here? Crosses the line. It looks like it's going to be a 137.58. Only just getting into the fives there. My goodness, Daniel is flying right now. Josh can't even answer. He seems to be trying his best, pushing along, but he's just coming up as the bridesmaid right now. Now, Daniel is leading this championship. Josh, wait, hold on. Josh, excuse me, with a 138.0. David was the one earlier with a 138 that was a little bit quicker, a little slower. But still, now David down into third. He's second in the championship, 6 points behind his rival Daniel right now. He needs every position he can get, but welcome to the conversation, Bradley, as he just sort of rudely interrupts everybody and says, I'm just going to set a 137.4. I'm just going to leave this here and see if anybody can answer back. Daniel, as of right now, is on pace for it, but into Sector 2, can he keep it all neat and tidy? Josh needs to find another few tenths before he can get into the 37s. Still a little bit to go before then. 4 minutes left in qualifying, though. Needs to find the pace sooner rather than later. There's a mod setting a lap into 7th. And looking for other times. Next to the line here, Daniel, what do you got? You got a bit of a slipstream. Is it going to help? A 37.5? Not going to be bested just yet. Sector 3 got held up, and no, Daniel having to go for moves to the inside of the 29. That's going to be Robert, it looks like. Ooh, not how you want your qualifying to go. Daniel's lap is already over. He should just abandon it at this point and find a nice bit of clean air, but instead he's going to ruin Robert's lap. And now both of them, nobody gets any candy, I guess. Nobody gets any nice things. No lap times to be set for either of these two on this lap. Bradley is going to be smiling, saying, well, you guys keep it up. I will just sit up here in the pit lane, my feet kicked back, and taking a nice little sip of, well, Diet Cola, in my case. Josh, still not into the 37s yet. Gotta push, gotta find it on the limit if he wants to get it. Andreas, a bit more sort of picturesque performance that we're used to from the man. This Sector 1 and 2 not quite looking so great. Andreas, though, has had a rough couple weeks. DNF Central in various leagues and, well, just hasn't quite come up all sunshine and rainbows for him. We unfortunately didn't get to see around there due to some technical difficulties, but here on the World of Racing YouTube channel, of course, with World Round 4, we get to see it. It was round 2 that saw Andrew battling with David and pretty much coming to blows the entire way. Andrew won both of the races. That was at Road America and Olton Park. Daniel finished in 2nd, as well as in the first race, finished in 10th. Ever since then, he's found his stride, though, and come back in the last 2 races. It's sort of like Mike Tyson and Fury in the 90s, just exchanging blows. Daniel and David, the 2 heavy hitters of the points. Oof, that was Andreas, by the way, with one of those uncharacteristic moves that I was talking about. You don't often see him spinning around, but as of late, well, he has been. And I don't know what it is. I'm not sure if it's due to lack of practice or if it's maybe lapse of judgments here and there, or just, I'm not sure what it is, but Andreas came out swinging early in the first few rounds, but since has just not quite been there in the conversation. He's sitting right now about 15th in the points. My goodness. 299 to his name. He missed 2 rounds. That didn't help. But since, it's just been a lot of DNFs. Now, Tim H. Somebody that's also not out there tonight, but stacking up well in the standings. 475 points to their name. This DNF will, or DNS in this case, will be difficult. It's going to be a tough pill to swallow. Hopefully he's in there in chat, or just here to cheer everybody along out there. I know we've seen that a few times. Drivers not showing up, and so, well, heck, they're not able to make it. Why not tune into the stream? Say hi to everybody, as you otherwise would. Of course, there are communities down there. Everyone gets to know each other at all the locations. And by the way, the times have come down. We see a lot more drivers getting into the 39s and evening things up quite a bit. Bradley, though, is the man to beat at the top of the hour. Qualifying done and dusted, but not yet, because any driver that's previously on a lap will be allowed to finish it, but any driver that has not started one will not be able to. So times will roll in, but no more times will start. Josh, I think he got to the line in time. We'll see. Let's see. Andreas, no, who is the 6? It's Kyle. 23 of Kyle coming across the line. No improvement, it looks like, in Sector 3. Slight, very slight improvement, I think, but time charts there not quite being the most true. We see some pit entry practices. Not necessary. We don't expect a pit stop here tonight, but you love to see it nonetheless. Man true to my heart. Here's Chan Young to the line. No improvement either. Josh up after Lee. Let's see, what does Lee have in the tank? Currently sitting in 10th. Next to the line. Looks like it's going to be no improvement. I don't think I'm going to be spoiling that one. 39.333. Not a bad lap. Josh, no improvement either, and I think that is going to be qualifying pretty much done and dusted. Christopher will be the last to the line, assuming he makes it. I'm not sure he actually will. We'll stick with him, though, for the rest of it. Just see if he can, and if he does. No, he doesn't. That will do it. Qualifying over. On the top of the charts, it's Bradley, lined up alongside Daniel in the 23, David in the 10, Josh bringing home the number 71 in 4th position, Chan Young in P5, Andreas in 6th, Kyle bringing up 7th with Ahmad in 8th, Donovan 9th, Lee rounding out your top 10, Vincent in P11, Robert P12, Christopher in P13, Chan Young rounding out the back of the grid for round 4 here at VIR with World of Racing. We'll be diving into it shortly here, folks. They just get a brief little intermission, of course, before we get into the meat and potatoes of the race. Now, Daniel took victory last week, a full 100-point sweep to his name on that one, as well as 68 points. 80-80 for David, so a great week for David. I know I think it was Ahmad, Mr. Consistent, and he is. Mr. Ahmad has been Mr. Consistent to the point where I think he actually managed his first race win last week looking at the scoring, and if that's the case, congratulations to him. It's a dang shame that we missed it. Ahmad has been slowly plucking away, kind of worked his way up the ranks for the points, and has just sat himself in 4th. Tim H behind him in 5th. Josh in 6th right now. This is the overall standings, of course. Still, though, 12 rounds to play for. We're halfway through. This is when the rivalries start to really cook up as well. The nerves are going to be boiling over on every single occasion when David and Daniel I mean, there's only 6 points separating them. Ahmad is not far behind, but after tonight, he is going to be quite far behind. And that's just due to the fact that, again, he's not here. Wait, no, he's not. What am I talking about? He's down in P8. I am blind as a bat. You know what, folks? Let's get into it. Starting us off at the top, Bradley. Christmas tree is on. 6 red lights ready to go for World of Racing. Round 4 at VIR. We will go green, 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 and Bradley caught sleeping at the wheel just about. Daniel trying to nip the change out of his pocket. Behind that, though, David is going to be looking to the inside line now on Daniel. Can he find a dive bomb potentially onto Bradley as well? No. Bradley commanding the first corner. Daniel contests the outside, but not going to be answered. Everybody nip and tuck in the top 4. Behind that, it's pretty much 2x2 Noah's Ark formation continuing as they go through the first sector into turns 3, 4, and now into 5. Side by side again, and Bradley gets sent on by Daniel. Daniel with a brilliant little move there to move himself up a position into the lead. David, what does he have in the background now as he's going to be trying to fan down the back stretch and look for a dive bomb potentially into turn 7. This is where normally you would continue straight, but now take that right-hand turn up the hill. Line is stern for these guys, but behind Chan Young has gotten by Andreas, and Andreas having to rejoin the track. Oh goodness, it's bumper cars central in the mid sectors. Somehow nobody spins. Contact was made on multiple occasions. There was violence, brutality, there was blood, there was occasional body parts flying, and either way, everybody is still facing the way that they should be. Ahmad gets his nose cut off there by Kyle. Up a position into 6th. Chen Young, he is a mover here for the start, it is to be said, and he's going to be trying to continue that trend towards the backpack of our leaders. Bradley still in 2nd, Daniel leading now after lap 1. David and Josh, they're side by side, and behind, this is going to give the opportunity to Chan Young. Continuing that side-by-side fighting. David will be able to keep it for now. Josh not able to crack the shell just yet. Looking for that chink in the armor, though. You can see he's challenging to the outside. He's looking to the inside, and what that's doing is putting doubt in the head of David. He's doubting himself. Where am I weaker than this man? And the answer looks to be everywhere. Josh seems to be quicker in every single part of the track. We all know, though, it's one thing to pass, or one thing to catch, it's certainly another thing to pass, and Bradley has found that out himself. He's currently being caught and looks like he might even be getting passed right now by David. Gets him shoved to the outside. Now, though, is Josh gonna follow him around the outside? He is! Josh getting the job done. Bradley needs to stem the bleeding right now. He needs to apply pressure like a tourniquet because he has dropped from the lead of this race down into 4th, and Chan Young, well, he's going to want to make that a 5th sooner rather than later. Behind that, Andreas and Ahmad having a little bit of a dicing. Kyle leading this pack and seemingly stronger on pace than these two. Behind this little pack it's just battle pack central pretty much no matter where you look. Robert leading the pack of Donovan and Lee, but Donovan's overcooked it, allowed Vincent and Christopher by for free. That's a 2-for-1 special, but never a deal you want to find. Take a breath. Josh now trying for the lead of this race, or for the 2nd position. No, David and Josh have come together, but he's righted him back round. They continue the side-by-side. This is going to bottleneck Bradley even more. Josh, though, keeps his foot in it the long way round the outside. He's going to have to hold firm and hold fast for a long time. He's going to get it done. Nicely done. Josh defends there in 2nd position. Now David nipping at the heels right now, but what this is doing is allowing our leader Daniel to stretch his legs and smile as these guys are just it's a knife fight in a phone booth. My goodness, you gotta have a bit of discretion to have a little bit of valor at times. Now Bradley I think is the man maybe has had a little too much discretion. Behind him, Chan Young is going to be joining quick. Uh-oh, what's happened to Vincent? Oh no, he spun around. Honestly though, with the way things are going, I wouldn't expect him to be on the back of the pack rather than, I don't know, 2 or 3 laps. This is absolute mayhem and calamity in the best way possible. I hope everyone at home is enjoying this action. If you guys are, hit that like and subscribe button here on the World of Racing YouTube channel. It's free. If you guys are watching on YouTube, a massive shout out. Hope everyone's having a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. This is the World of Racing, and here we go. Racing down to the first corner. Ahmad under pressure from Andreas, and Andreas, like taking candy from a baby, makes the 7th position move happen. Kyle needs to look behind, but somebody else that needs to look behind is going to be Josh because, well, he doesn't want to look behind right now. He's looking straight down the barrel of an MX-5, and that name is going to be David here. Josh was ahead to begin, well, okay. It depends what time you want me to say. Josh was not ahead to begin with, David was, but they've changed positions so many times at this point, you would be better off keeping track with, I don't know, a calculator or something. I don't got one of those in my head, unfortunately. Josh, currently though, is in 2nd. David in 3rd. Bradley, rocking 4th and loving it. Chan Young though, oh my goodness, Bradley popping a wheelie. A bit of a show, but not quite the show that he wants to put on. It's a show of weakness, and no, he's lost it. Was it assisted? I'm assuming yes, considering Chan Young is slowing. He needs to be careful. Chan Young's slowing on a very bad part of the circuit. Judging by the car body language, though, as I'm assuming the 23 did make contact with the 55 there, and the rest is now history, unfortunately. That's not going to thwart the efforts of Josh and David, though. These two, well, at each other's throat from the word go. And I don't expect that to change. Josh under pressure, David trying to take Josh's throat right now and throw it on the floor and maybe throw it off the circuit. Didn't happen on this occasion, thankfully. David still behind, but he's getting desperate. You can see in the car every single corner he's looking to make a move, and there's still 10 minutes left. There's plenty of time to make it happen, and Bradley and Chan Young, they're also still dicing it up in the mid-pack, despite the fact that they just came together not too long ago. I guess a fight is a fight. Lee in 9th. I think it's a position up from where he started in 10th. Donovan back down to 10th. Vincent in 12th. Robert 11th. Christopher in 13th. Daniel here. Comfortable. I don't know what else to say. 5.5 seconds. He's got a little room to make a mistake. Let's go on board. See what it's like. As we are going to be basically on a treadmill right now. We're the equivalent of putting your dog on a treadmill with a bone at the end. David is hungry. And he sees the morsel of Josh ahead. And he wants to take a big old bite out of him. Problem is that would be against the rules. And he would get a penalty if he was to do that. So he has to make a clean overtake. No bump to pass here. Pride ourselves on the cleanliness of this league, of course. But this is sort of that game that I talked about in qualifying. The fact that these cars 0 to 60 is about 3 to 5 business days. And you can see it here. Once they're up to speed, they're not really slowing down much, but they're also not really accelerating either. And that's frustrating, especially because if your opponent gets a good exit and you get a good exit, there's really not much you can do. Now, if your opponent gets a good exit and you don't, it's one of the worst feelings in the world because it's almost like sort of cueing the Jaws music, for example. So if Josh here goes deep, clips the grass, and makes a mistake, sort of like David's trying to do right now, actually, that would be the cue to start sweating like a cow in a burger joint if you are Josh. But in this case, David is going to be the only one that has a bit of perspiration running down his armpits. Daniel, well, he's got a cool victory right now. There's nothing to worry about in his, well, situation, seemingly, for the rest of this race. Obviously, anything can happen in racing, and it normally does. But it would take a miracle at this point for Daniel to be bested, I think. At least in this race. Now, of course, as we head over to Tsukuba, anything can happen. And it's a whole different circuit. In fact, it's in a very different circuit. This track technically has 14 corners. I'm not sure who counted them. I'm just going to be honest. As I'm looking at the map, maybe 8. Maybe 9. I don't know, 10, 13. 14's a bit much. But either way, I didn't make the circuit or design the numbers. In fact, I don't know who did. That's something that I should know. I do know who won the first race here. The first race ever hosted at VIR was the SCCA back in 1957, and it was won by nobody else other than Carroll Shelby. And then this track did close back in 1974, and then sat unused till 2000 before it began its renewal process. It also plays host to around 150 different bird species in the area, including, well, bald eagles, the tried, true, and classic American screech, the red-tailed hawks. There's also some great blue herons, and some barded owls. Various other mallards and bluebirds and warblers and other species, of course, are to be found around here, so it's not just for the car enthusiasts, it's also for those that are a little bit more inclined with the aviofauna. Now, somebody that has been just flying around this circuit, Daniel, but Josh, doing a great job of it too. He's had a couple falters here and there, but he seems to pick up the pieces every time that he does drop them. David, not been so lucky. He made that mistake earlier on and hasn't quite been able to recover since. Kyle hasn't moved, I don't think, since the start of this race. As he started in, I think, 7th, so he has moved up a bit. But all things considered, Kyle, I don't think has actually made much of an overtake. He's just sat there and just been a rock, pretty much. And nobody can get by him, and nobody, well, is going to be around him besides Andreas. Cue the prove the commentator wrong music, because Andreas, I thought he was down in P10 last time I checked. There's the mistake out of Kyle, and there's going to be Andreas trying to walk by, though not enough momentum. Andreas gonna have to continue the fight on down towards the back part of the circuit on the way down to turn 7. There's a hairpin there, but it's an uphill off-camber attack. It's going to be hard-pressed to find the victory here, but Andreas is going to try the long way around. A Lewis Hamilton on Fernando Alonso-esque overtake, but no, doesn't quite make it stick. Not the world champion material just yet is Andreas, but looking, though, to take the position from Kyle very shortly here. Where do you do it? Do you do it into the west, into the horseshoe? You do it into the hog pen, potentially? Probably not. As we go through, a little too high to commit in this part. The difficult part here. High speed, high commitment, and not really a heavy braking zone to go for a move. The thing with these MX-5s where they absolutely strive in overtaking is deep, long hairpins, where you're able to just go full send baseball and hope you don't drop it onto the infield. That's what Andreas's plan is right now. Now we all know no plan survives first. Can we draw one up textbook this time? Round the outside, Andreas attacks Kyle, but he's going to defend. Kyle, though, runs a bit wide. Is that going to allow the switchback for Andreas? No, the momentum not in the favor, and Andreas is going to have to live to fight another day. Or is he? This is the same mistake that we saw last time from Kyle, though, and Andreas, he's not going to be kind of fooled twice. The inside here, it looks very promising, like you can go for a move, but the inside, it turns to the out very, very quickly, and you will run out of room if you try to commit. Now, up the hill one more time. Let's see. Do we go for it? It's gonna have to be this lap. will it? No, we're going to get one more lap. We're going to be starting the final lap the next go-around. But Andreas is very impatient. About as impatient as a toddler, it looks like right now, to be honest. He's every single opportunity saying, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? And the answer is still no. And Andreas, if you don't quit asking, I'm going to turn this car around. Or, well, maybe I won't have to. Andreas is going to be the one to do it himself if he's not too careful. Kyle is doing a stellar job at defense. I just want to give credit here. He's just driving, not going defensive. He's really not putting the car in any dangerous situations. He's not putting it over the limit. He's not really caring that Andreas is even behind him. In fact, he's acting like he's not even there, which is perfect. That's how you have to drive. Don't overreact. Andreas has been trying to force him to. Looking left, looking right, weaving around more than a knitting grandma, and Kyle has not bit. He seemingly goes deep through that corner every single time, and it must just be to carry the speed. I'm not sure why, but nobody else seems to be doing that line. Now Kyle in the slipstream, or excuse me, Kyle leading the slipstream, Andreas in the slipstream. This is going to be his last real attempt on this coming lap. If it doesn't stick like glue now, well, it's going to have to go back to the factory, unfortunately. Andreas, can he do it here, or is it going to have to be down in Japan where he makes his move on to Kyle through into the hog pen, past the roller coaster? Where do you do it? Is it going to be into the horseshoe? It has to be. Realistically speaking, it has no choice. It's either going to be the horseshoe or it's going to be turn 7. And turn 7, I don't like the prospects of. Lee and Bradley have just had a bit of a change in position. Bradley is plummeted down the order like a stone in the Marianas Trench. I feel for you, brother. Has not been the 55's day. Andreas through the first corner. Not even close. He's quicker in every part of the track that doesn't matter. And that's the most frustrating feeling as a racing driver. It almost feels like you're banging your head up against the wall or steering wheel, or, I mean, it could be the best Kevin Siggy impression, but Andreas, he's going to be flustered with this one, but it's still been a stellar drive. He did not have the greatest qualifying, all things considered. And with the result that he's been able to deliver, I think he can be happy. He wants to gain the position. We'll stick with him for a little bit longer. In fact, is that going to be it? Was that the mistake from Kyle? Did he open the door up? No, the stable door was briefly left open, but the horses could not get out. Up the hill one more time. We'll have to check back in because our race leader, Daniel, the number 23, is going to be taking victory once more. And it's going to be for round 4 here at VIR. A brilliant little finish there. Nicely done for Daniel. Whoa, and a hop, skip, and a jump over the barrier. A style point finish. Josh takes home second. David in third. Kyle, will he take it over Daniel, or excuse me, over Andreas? Yes, Kyle will. Finishes in 4th, Andreas in 5th, Chan Young in 6th, Donovan 7th, Bradley in 8th, Lee in 9th, Ahmad gonna be coming home in 10th, Robert 11th, Vincent P12, and last but certainly not least is going to be the number 57 of Christopher. A great race, my goodness. Andreas and Kyle. A battle that sort of brewed out of nowhere. The David and Josh fight as well. The story to be told for the next 1,000 years. And Daniel, well, I forgot he was in this race. No, not really. He just kind of had a hot lapping session as Josh and David were a little occupied with each other to really worry too much about the 23. Here we go. Finishing up the race is going to be Christopher. and he will be taking home 13th. Nicely done there, Christopher. Taking the checkered flag. Let's head back to the booth, folks. Actually, hold that thought. Yes, no, we have to head back to the booth. Excuse me. Welcome back, folks, as we come here to the World of Racing booth and we get out of the session. Daniel, my goodness, the man, I was going to say of the moment, but he's really been the man of the championship. That's just one more victory to add to his name. Behind him, David, second in the standings. A great result, P3. Josh makes his presence known. Is Josh even in this champ? Where is Josh at in this? He's 6th right now with 460 points to his name. So he is looking quite good. In fact, that might be enough to throw himself over Tim H and potentially even a mod. Andreas finishing in 5th. That'll be a good haul of points. A mod down in 10th. That was not where he wanted to find himself. Either way, we are, of course, folks, going to be having a brief little intermission that is normal here of World of Racing, but do not go anywhere because we are going to be, well, taking a flight halfway across the planet, basically, all the way down to Japan. We're going to be heading down to Tsukuba, I think. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but either way, folks, we'll be back very, very shortly. And welcome back, everybody, to World of Racing. We're going to be back here once again for round 4, round 6, here for the VIR as well as Tsukuba round. Tsukuba, I'm American. Give me a break. Either way, we're going to be getting into it very, very shortly on this very, very short circuit. 1.2 miles. These MX-5s are going to be battling it out, and the lap times are about 1 minute and 10 seconds looking at the qualifying as of right now. Fastest lap time ever set here, by the way, was by a Formula Atlantic car back in 2001. It's a 44.008. A very fast lap. What the heck is a Formula Atlantic car, you might ask? Again, beats me. I have no idea. I was 1 year old in 2001, but that was by Sasuke Ohi in the Formula Atlantic. The fastest ever car, that's car, actual tuned car that's been around, 49.4 seconds by a Nissan S15, and that was set by Suzuki. I don't know, by somebody in Suzuki. It doesn't actually say who it was, but somebody in Suzuki set that lap with a Nissan. But we're going to be setting laps with MX-5s. We got Mazdas, folks. Let's get down to qualifying and let's talk track a little bit here, because this is an interesting one, and I guarantee not many folks out there have probably seen it. Down onto the track now and take a look at this bad boy. A little go-kart track, pretty much. I mean, that's more or less what we're looking at here. Is not much more than a karting circuit. It's tight, it's twisty, it's windy, and there's some heavy braking zones. Let's go on board with David. Why not? He's our current pole sitter. He's already in his lap. Let's see. Let's go on board with Bradley, because he's currently starting a lap here at Tsukuba. Down into the first braking zone, a heavy hairpin to the back. I suspect this is going to be a great overtaking zone. Looking at the nature of the corner, you'll be able to get a good move down to the inside if you have enough of a run. This is going to be a hurry up and wait sector, and getting a move done into this off-cambered bank hairpin looks like it's going to be a bit of a headache. I'm sure it'll be done, but it's probably not easily. Through turn 4, up into turn 5, the right-handed kink. Big lift off the throttle, late onto the accelerator there for Bradley. Very off the limit in sector 1. Hold that gear, no, up a gear, actually, as we have the run down to turn 8. And then around the hairpin again. It's hairpin. This is almost reminiscent of Monza, just with chicanes in slightly different spots. Now, flat out the rest of the way till you get to the final corner, turn 9. Bit of a lift of the throttle in these MX-5s. A little bit of a touch of double downshift, in fact, onto the accelerator. Get as tight to the wall as you can and cross the line. That's not going to be an improvement from Bradley, but that is a quick lap here at Tsukuba. Oh, and that is an offline into the first corner. David finding a couple more tenths as well. Fan favorite Lee, currently down in 9th. But look at the times. I don't think I've seen this even of a qualifying in World of Racing ever. My goodness. Okay, Daniel just getting ahead by 1/10,000th of a second. Just for reference, folks, let me pull up my little spreadsheet right here. The human eye, it blinks in 0.2 of a second. That's 0.200. The current gap between them, 0.001. For anyone curious what can happen in the blink of an eye, just to give a little bit of a reference, the heart of America's smallest mammal, the pygmy shrew, it can beat about 5 times in that time span. The universe as well expands about 11.5 miles per mega parsec, and the Earth orbits the sun about 4.6 miles. Just to give reference, the Earth is barely orbiting the sun by the time that gap is done, and that is saying a lot, because we travel quick through the sky, folks. Depending on what your opinion is of the planet that we live on. There's only one answer here, sorry. Either way, didn't think we were getting to that conversation tonight. David, pole position to the 102, the first driver in for the twos. Behind him, Daniel, an 03, an 03 from Bradley, all the way back to Ahmad in 8th. Literally 0.6 of a second separating 5 drivers right now. Make that still 5 drivers pretty much separated by that time. Ahmad has just decided to make himself the pointy end of that spear and then spear himself quickly into the barrier. Daniel, I don't think got caught out too much by that. I think it was Daniel that was around him there. David not improving on this lap. Daniel not really improving on this lap as he's going to be held up. Ahmad on his out lap. Josh, a little up. Not too much. Let's see what he's got in Sector 3, though. He'll be one of the next ones to cross the line. This being, I was going to say close to the final attempt, but no, not really, because this track is so quick, we're going to have another 5 laps at least. So plenty of qualifying left. And these drivers are going to need it. Look at how tight they are. 1/10 right now will improve a position for Donovan. Oh, well, that is not going to improve time for Donovan. A spear to the barrier as well. Kyle, an uncharacteristic 9th place right now. We saw that his race pace might be a little bit better than his qualifying, though. He didn't have the greatest over at VIR either when it comes to the qualifying results, and just when it came to his on-track consistency, that's where he shined. He might not be able to set the fastest lap in the server, can Kyle, but he will set the same lap over and over and over and over again, and sometimes that's what you need. You don't always need to be the fastest, you just have to be the fastest over the course of a race, and Kyle has shown that he can do that quite well over at VIR, Virginia International Raceways. Quite a dominant performance there, finishing up in 4th. As of right now, he needs a lot more to find 4th, at least in qualifying. 4/10 not improved through Sector 1. Lee also struggling a little bit, but still only 1/10,000th separating those two as well. What the heck? How do we have margins this close? Currently, Daniel and Josh, by the way, separated by 7/10,000ths. Right? Yeah. Yeah, I mathed that right. Yeah. So I second guessed myself on a couple occasions, but no. And then behind that, there's only 60,000 separating Ahmad and Daniel. So between 2nd and 4th, there is not even 1/10 of a second. That is incredible. You don't even see that in F1 esports levels. I mean, these gaps are insane. Oh, well, okay. You also don't see that too much in F1 esports either. That was Donovan having a bit of a pirouette. His best ballerina impression, but that is the wrong sport for the wrong time. Currently, David's still the only one to get into the 2s. Doesn't look like this lap is going to be much better. He's on the limit, though. Dancing around. Talking about ballerinas, this is David's best performance of that, and, well, quite frankly, he's actually doing quite a good job. Just tiptoeing around the circuit on the limit of grip. And crossing the line. Coming up after this corner, it looks like he will not be improving. Sector 2, a little too bad. So all about just maximizing your speed out of the final corner and set yourself up for the next lap. To the line, no improvement. And 0-3-0. Still enough, though, for 2nd position with that. That was right behind Josh and in between Daniel. Again, goes to show you, not much to be had here. It's a tight circuit, and it's short, which means that you have to be perfect. Every corner that you make a mistake on, those are 10ths that you're not getting back. And for example, on, let's just say the Nürburgring, for example, it's a bit of an exaggeration, but 87 corners, 1/10 is nothing. You can drop 20/10ths, and realistically, that's only, well, just about 2 seconds, a little over. So it's really not the biggest deal. But here, 20 tenths, 2 seconds, is going to be a big deal. As you can see, that's the difference between first and pretty much last right now. Christopher, a little bit more than that, 4 seconds off the back. So needing to find it, but 2 seconds separating currently Robert and David. Robert's another one that we haven't seen the greatest performance out of recently. He's been struggling, it seems, just to catch that rhythm. That was a 105. He's just not able to seemingly keep it corner after corner after corner. And again, this type of circuit, these are the ones that really will punish drivers for making mistakes, and they'll reward the ones that make it perfect. And even if you're pixel perfect on the line, but let's say you're a couple miles an hour slower, you're still going to be much quicker than everybody else, and that's just due to the flowy nature of this track. I would imagine overtaking here is going to be tricky, but we'll see. I can also see it going both ways, to be honest. I'll be honest, I've never commentated this track before, chat, so you're joining me for the first time if you are just seeing this one. It's a cool one. Again, a karting-esque circuit. I'm going to be honest, I'd never heard of it or seen racing around here. Lots of very fine circuits in Japan. Your Fujis, your, well, Suzukas, of course. And your Okiyamas. Plenty classics, but this is just one that, I'll be honest, I haven't seen. This is what World of Racing goes to offer you, folks. You want some variety? You want some variety is the spice of life, after all. Head on down to World of Racing, folks. You get plenty of it, whether you're going down here for league racing or just for the members nights, race nights, or anything in between, coaching sessions and racing, and just, heck, a couple hot laps. If you want to throw down some quali laps, why not? Just come on in for a couple minutes and throw in some practice. We offer it all here at World of Racing on any of our 3 locations, either in Tustin, Pasadena, or in Kansas City, Kansas. We thank everybody for joining us here on the YouTube channel, whether you're watching the VOD afterwards or watching us, well, Daniel, spear into the wall live. We thank you very much for joining us here on the World of Racing YouTube channel. If you guys are enjoying it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, as it is free here on YouTube, and we thank you very much for being a part of this awesome movement. Of course, World of Racing being the premier sim center of the world, the largest sim center in the world, and of course, the premier of SoCal. This is the best of the best, folks, and also, of course, even if you're not the best of the best, you have a spot down here. David, he's the best of the best, and Josh is the best of the rest right now. Can he change that with 1 time left to go? Round the final corner. We don't know what he's got on the cards. The timing tower being a bit of a tease to us right now. On the loud pedal, he looks confident. It's not going to be enough, though. A 2:09. Well, excuse me, a 1:02.9 for Josh. Daniel behind him in third, and Ahmad bringing up fourth. 17 minutes of racing to be had after this. Brief little cool down for the drivers and myself to take a sip of my Diet Cola, the last sip left. Remember, folks, stay hydrated and try not to drink caffeine around 9:30 at night. Good recommendation, or 8:30 at night, depending on where you are. Either way, some things can't be avoided. Here we go, folks. One thing that I know can be avoided is a bit of contact. Is it going to? Well, that's the question, and that's what we're all going to be scratching our heads wondering, and, well, we're going to find out shortly. As the wait is over, the clock is counting down, and the 6 red lights are coming on. This is going to be VIR and Tsukuba. Here we go, folks. Round 4 is underway, and it's a terrible start for David. He is going to get swamped, not just by 1, but by 3, potentially 4 drivers. Josh, I think, is going to be the one into the lead. Down to the first braking zone. It's clean and tidy. Got to keep it nice and clean, though, through the rest. Car into the barrier. That's Christopher. Hopefully he can get back running here very shortly. Side-by-side endeavors throughout the pack. Car taken out. That's Ahmad getting punted off the back end. Not sure who that was by. I think that was Chan Young, maybe. I can't quite tell. It was yes, I think it was Chan Young, actually, that did make that bit of contact. He's wiggling and wobbling, and so is Bradley, who's just pirouetted back into the barrier. I don't think we're going to get a race restart here. David trying to, no, excuse me, that's Daniel trying to make moves onto Andreas. What the heck? Where has Andreas come from? I don't even know where he qualified. Okay, welcome to the battle, Andreas. Can he hold on to this one? You got to cut it back. Andreas here needs to settle it. He's done an incredible job on his opener. He just has to keep it now for the rest of this race. He's going to get overtaken, it looks like, by David into the first corner. Is Chan Young going to follow suit, though? It looks like yes, but no. No, not quite. No, excuse me. In fact, that is David. So that was Andreas letting Daniel back by. Yes, the timing tower just taking a second to update, and I got a little confused with the similar liveries. So, everything stands as the timing tower says. It is correct currently. David chasing Andreas, and Andreas in third. Wow, what an opening lap here for the 56. He's trying to think about a defensive move through the hairpin onto the back straight. David is looking like he wants to go on the attack sooner rather than later. It's going to be definitely cue Jaws music now, because I would imagine if you're Andreas, you're going to have a number 57 car right alongside you very, very shortly. I want to check in with the battle between Lee and Kyle, but I can't right now because something is bound to happen as soon as I take my eyes off of this, and I know it. Is it going to be Daniel getting by Andreas, or is it going to be Andreas getting by, or excuse me, is it going to be David getting by Andreas, or is it going to be Andreas getting by Daniel? Any one is possible, but right now I think the more likely situation is the 57 passing the 56. I think Andreas is looking like the slower driver. Speaking of slower drivers, who was that? That was Lee. The battle that I did want to check in on, I think Lee just got by Donovan not too long ago. Oh, whoops. Lee with a bit of a snap, tank slapper, and kept it out of the wall. Good little save. But still, stemmed the bleeding, but lost a little bit. Down into 10th. As a result, Donovan on the chase right now. 2 seconds to the back of Kyle, and Kyle here, again, the man that I mentioned doesn't have the greatest qualifying pace, but when it comes to just pure consistent laps, this is your man. If you are on an endurance race soon at World of Racing, if I'm picking Kyle, I'm just going to be completely on it. Ooh, as he almost takes out the 58 and makes me eat my words. He didn't, though. He didn't. Andreas, he did lose the position. That was kind of expected. David here was really eking a hole in the back bumper of Andreas, sort of rubbing him the wrong way, and I'm not sure if Andreas complied letting him by, or just David got the move done the hard way, and Vincent falling down the order as well. Early dramas have allowed Josh on this occasion to start to peel away, but then Daniel looking to come back into the conversation very, very quickly. Daniel, your previous race winner. Josh, your bridesmaids, your runner-up. He's looking to put the shoe, though, firmly on the other foot, and this would be massive for his championship. If he can come home here tonight with a P2 and a P1, the points would be very welcome going into the second half of this season. Whoa, a mistake from Daniel has allowed David back on through. Uncharacteristic. Typically, you got to wake up pretty early in the morning to catch Daniel out like that, but Daniel was the one that was, I guess, just trying to sleep in a little bit. A little slow out of bed, and David welcomes himself in, pours himself a cup of coffee, and says, "Thank you very much." Daniel says, "Well, I didn't allow that, sir." David says, "I don't really care." Andreas, though, trying to soak up anything he can as well, but really right now, Andreas just has to sit back and wait. He is on a game of consistency as well, really. Made his way up through the field, looking at a good result. Anything in the top 5 for Andreas is going to be brilliant. If he can come away with anything better than a 5th, he should be patting himself on the back and smiling the entire drive home. Daniel, he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to go for the back-to-back victory. David and Josh are not going to hand it to him easily. We saw it in the last race. Daniel, just walk away. This is not the case. This is not the opportunity. This track is not the same. VIR maybe favored the likes of the 58, but here, Japan has really leveled the playing field and everybody is seemingly on the same foot. And I'm almost wondering if that's due to the fact that I wonder if anyone's even driven this track before. Now, I know that everyone knew the track coming into the night, but again, this is just one of those circuits that you don't really see. So I wonder if that's what's playing the role, is everybody's just even tonight because nobody knows how to properly take the curbs here. And, well, looking at the curbs, there really aren't many. So a flat circuit, able to push the limits hard. It's just finding the limits. That's the very, very challenging element. Right now, Daniel finding the limits a little bit onto David, but was it the fastest lap set by a mod? Did I see that correctly? A mod in 9th position is lapping faster than anybody else, and now Vincent is lapping faster than anybody else. That goes to show you lap times here mean nothing. Track position is king. It does not matter how fast you're going or how far back you are from the car ahead. You just have to put the work in, get the lap times done, and eventually the race will in fact come to you. Daniel hasn't had that happen. He had the poor start, and, well, he hasn't just had any luck. Everything's come up. The drivers around him, David and Josh, have gotten, I don't want to say lucky, at a certain level of talent. Luck and skill become indistinguishable. 102.9 for Andreas. That's the fastest lap that I've seen so far. But he's flying around. Everybody else in the 103s. Andreas is close to his qualifying pace. That's maybe even, is Andreas faster in race than he is in qualifying? Is that would be surprised. I'll be honest, that actually, believe it or not, when I used to race, I was the exact same way. My qualifying time was typically a little bit slower than my race pace, which made no sense. Trust me, you don't need to tell me that twice. That, folks, is why I wasn't the qualifying driver when it came to endurance teams. I was basically, I was going to say I was your Andreas. I'm not your Andreas. I guess I'm more, sorry, Christopher, but I'm more your Christopher. Yeah, I love you, buddy, but like I say, I relate to you, Christopher. Out there, trying our hardest and just crossing the checkered flag. That's what we're here to do. If we hit the barrier once or twice while we're out there, who cares? That's what we're here for. It's about the fun time. We're here for a good time, not a long time, right, folks? And Christopher, again, I guarantee you, is smiling the entire time he's out there right now. At least I certainly hope he is. Bradley, maybe not. I wish I could say that Bradley was smiling the entire time. I hope he is. Uh-oh. Josh is facing the wrong way and reversing on the circuit. Daniel is leading this race. Andreas is in second. Josh has just either been taken out or taken himself out. Down the order he goes, though. The results are the same. And now Daniel. Well, when I thought it wasn't going to happen, here we are. In fact, I'm assuming that David and Josh must have come together. Considering that David is now in second position, 2.4 seconds off the back of Daniel, there is no doubt in my mind that there was a collision between the two drivers. And in my opinion, I didn't see it, but I'm just going to go out there and say that was unnecessary. Those two are working together to try to not let Daniel win this race. Oh no, and Chan Young now. The dominoes are falling. Rack 'em and stack 'em, boys, because this is absolutely, well, everybody's going off the green stuff and into the pockets. Or I guess onto the green stuff in this case. This is not where you want to find yourself right now in the middle of a 17-minute race. 6 minutes and 45 seconds left to go. David trying to recover the bleeding. Andreas just trying to stay alive. He's trying to pass. Don't get me wrong. He's trying to overtake David right now, but he needs to not try that hard. And I know everybody in chat is saying, what the heck, Mike? What are you talking about? Andreas should give it his all and go for the position. Yes-ish. He should give it most of his all. Andreas needs a good result. He's had not so great results in the past. He's currently sitting at 299 points at in the championship compared to 512. This would be, I think, his best result all championship. So if he can manage his P3, get a podium finish, Andreas again should be patting himself on the back and driving home with a big old smile on his face because he's earned it. It's been a really great start and he just has to hold on. Now I'm going to stop waxing lyrical about him before he ends up waxing one of the walls. Kyle, another one of your Mr. Consistence. I said it before, I'd want him on my endurance team. I'm not sure he'd want to be on my endurance team, but I'd take him. Consistent as ever, qualified down the order back in, I think, 9th or 7th, and has worked his way all the way up into 4th due to, again, just lap after lap after lap, keeping it valid. It's really that simple. It doesn't sound complex, and it isn't that complex. What Kyle is doing is the most basic principle in racing. He's just doing it very well. So good on you, Kyle. Keep it between the mayo and the mustard, and don't worry about anyone else. Christopher, on the other hand, he's worried about other people, and I've got to give him some props. He's been a very good blue flag right now, pulling off to the side, off the racing line, and off the track entirely to allow cars by in a very safe manner. This is going to allow for this type of battling, and Robert, well, he looks like he's under a whole lot of pressure right now. Vincent, you keep on knocking, but you can't come in, says Robert. The problem is I think it's a matter of time before Vincent and Bradley invite the FBI into this occasion. Okay, well, all right. Rather than the FBI being called, he swatted himself. Vincent had a bit of a spin there. Caught it. Good save. But not great. Now, joining the fight with Lee, Chan Young, and Josh, a name that I was not expecting to say is battling for P8. He was leading this race at one point in time, and we don't know exactly what happened, but I'm assuming it was contact between David and Josh that put Josh down the order. Lee is all over the place right now and pretty much just has to give this position up to Josh. He's not going to. Okay, he's going to fight it and get his elbows out. Josh, long way around and on the grass pass. He makes his name very well known to Lee and says, you can try to fight me all you want. I'm going to fight back just that little bit harder and I'm going to win. And Josh, well, he does that. Now, 2 seconds up the road is Chan Young. Chan second, 1 second to Ahmad. Bradley, still on the back, though, of Robert. And it looks like that's going to change very shortly. A mistake from Robert allows Bradley alongside in the best possible opportunity. He gets in the slipstream, though. Somehow, Robert carried a tremendous amount of speed through that hairpin into the final corner. Are we going to see the setup? Looks like we are. Bradley cooking it wide here to maximize the minimum speed. Is he going to cut back to the inside, though, late? Yes, but it's defended by Robert. Now, is Robert going to make the apex, though? He's a little offline. Well, he didn't make the apex, but he did make the position held, at least. Through the S's again, and he's going to hold on one more time. He lives to tell the tale once more, but right now, Bradley, this is a game of attrition, and he's sort of just chiseling away at Robert's defenses. Eventually, I think he's going to find that little weak spot where he can jab the dagger firmly in and make the, I don't want to say kill, make the demise of Robert clean, hopefully. Oh, no! All right, sorry, Bradley. I cursed you on that one. Well, I'm now Bradley's least favorite commentator. Sorry about that. Joining up the order, Donovan and Kyle. Let's go and potentially curse somebody else's day now, shall we? 1 minute and 32 seconds left, though. Down to the wire here for the round 4 on this. I think it's round 6. Round 7, 8. Either way. Here for VIR, and Tsukuba. It is going to be the last lap, folks. Wait, no, it's not. Yeah, it is. It might be. It's going to be close, but it's a battle for the lead, though. David and Daniel side by side on the last lap, potentially. Daniel takes the lead over David. Now it's Daniel hunting for the back-to-back. He was leading on the lead up to this lap, but that doesn't mean he was leading at the end of the first. Keep in mind, it was Josh that was ahead of David, that was ahead of Daniel. Since then, how the turns have tabled. And Daniel is leading this race and looking for a back-to-back victory tonight, and David is going to do everything in his nature to send it to the inside and make Daniel just look in every single opportunity. Every time he's having to keep an eye on that rearview mirror. Problem is, I think we're only going to have to do it one more time. We might not. We might get another lap. It is going to be extremely close here, folks. Daniel is hoping that the checkered flag is waiting for him. David is hoping that the white flag is waiting for him. As we cross the line, it is going to be the white flag. We got one more lap. Oh my goodness, we crossed at 0-0. Daniel has one more lap to go. David, can he make this one stick? All over the back of him like a rash to the inside of turn 3. He gets alongside. It's near contact. Gets the good run though, but the outside line for turn 5, it's just a bit of a kink. Can you switch it back for 6? No, not quite. Daniel gets forces him out wide. The switchback though from David cuts to the outside once more through turn 8. One corner left to go. Daniel, can he get a victory tonight? Or David, is he gonna take it? It's a drag race down to the final corner. Fred Flintstone could potentially win it, but the two MX-5s are gonna come together. Just a brief little battering. Is Andreas gonna win this race? No, it's gonna be David or Daniel, and across the line, David's gonna take it. Daniel not able to get the back-to-back victory. David takes it by mere 10,000ths of a second. Andreas finishes in 3rd, Ahmad in 4th, Chan Young 5th, Kyle in 6th, Josh in 7th, Donovan in 8th, Lee finishes in 9th, Vincent in 10th, Robert, is it going to be an 11th or is it going to be a 12th? There's still one corner left here to the side. Robert and Bradley's positions. This is going to be another photo finish down to the line. Oh my goodness, what an exciting end here to this Japanese race. And it's Robert that takes home 11th and Bradley takes home 12th. Christopher last, but certainly not least tonight, folks. Holy smokes. David and Daniel. I wonder what the gap was. I have to leave the session, I think, to find out what the gap was, but there's no way. That was down to the 10,000ths. It had to be, even potentially the 100,000ths of a second that was. That was a photo finish. Maybe the closest finish I think we've seen at World of Racing. Wow. Hats off to those two. We thought that they were going to cross the line on the final lap, and they had one more left to go. What a way to finish. Let's head back to the booth, folks. Welcome back. I need to see what these times were here. Oh man, 71 thousandths of a second. It was a little more than I thought. I said it was down to the 10,000ths. I knew that, but wow, 71, that's 0.071 separating Daniel and David took the victory. Oh man, that makes the championship. Hold on, mathing. Not change much, which is really good for David, to be fair, considering that Daniel almost had the best possible result. So Daniel is not going to be losing out on any points. David will be losing out on a couple, but only a couple. Not really anything to be too worried about or fussed in the championship. Ahmad, where did he finish? Ahmad finished in... where did Ahmad finish? Oh, 4th. Oh, nice. Ahmad with a 4th place. that'll be a good result for him. So he's going to find himself a couple points here at the end of this race as well. Josh, the talk of the town, to be honest, I got to say, it sucks for Josh, but he did a great job, all things considered. 7th place finish in the second race. Round 1, though, of course, he took that P2. So that'll be a great little haul of points to his name as well. But my goodness, folks, I am going to be buzzing for the next 20 hours. I don't know. This is going to be a tough one to come down from. What an exciting finish, folks. And if that isn't a reason to hit the subscribe button here at World of Racing, I don't know what is. Anyways, folks, we're going to be wrapping this one up, and I just want to remind you guys before we do, if you are down in the area of Tustin, Pasadena, or Kansas City, Kansas, head on down to the Premier Sim Center, SoCal's Premier Sim Center, and of course, Kansas City's as well. It's the biggest sim center in the world. You want to check it out if you're in the area. If you are down near them, head on in. They offer, again, from anything from hot lapping to coaching sessions to race nights to league racing as well. You can find it here at World of Racing. It's got a little bit of everything, and we thank you guys so much for taking part. A special thank you to all the drivers, of course, that do take part and drive on the Sigma Interglade motion simulators, the top-of-the-line equipment with the Simicube wheels and Hussenfeld pedals as well. So if you want to get the best of the best, World of Racing is where you want to go, folks. And on that note, what an amazing set of races that we've had. We'll be back shortly as well, of course, here on the World of Racing, so do not go anywhere. And of course, check out the schedule on the YouTube. But I've been Mike Noss, folks. I hope everybody has a lovely evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are in this fine world. Thank you, and good night.